In this episode, I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about your Australian student visa. You're looking to go study in Australia for your BSc, your bachelor's, for your master's, your doctorate, or are you looking to send your child or children to Australia to finish or start their high school education? Whatever it is you're looking for, as long as you're looking to go to Australia to study, in this video, I'm going to be telling you about all the documentations, everything you need to look out for to get your student visa to Australia. So if you're interested in learning more about this topic, if you're interested in getting this information, you are in the right place. All I ask you to do is get a pen, get a pad, give me 1 second. I'm gonna dash off to the market and I'm gonna be right back with more.
You know the way I do it when I drop lyrical. Anytime I spit lyrical, philosophical. All the niggas mimical, but they stand still on taking literal. Punchlines collateral. Maximum damage.
Hello, Chronics. Hello, YouTube. How are you all doing today? It's still your value-based king, Fuse, from FuseChronicles.com. We are a travel, tourism, and lifestyle channel here on YouTube, bringing you everything you need to know, all the tips and hacks about your international travel. Have you subscribed to our channel yet? If you haven't, what are you doing? Why don't you go down, smash the subscribe button, click the bell icon, which is the notification bell, so you stay notified when we drop future videos such as this one. And why don't you give us a like? It helps us a lot with the YouTube algorithm. It tells Mr. YouTube that you found this video valuable, and they're gonna find more people just like yourself all around the world to show this video to. And what about your friends and your family members who plan to travel to go study or who plan to travel to different countries abroad? Why don't you share this video or some of our videos with them so that they stay guided on how to apply for the visa, the right documents to tender to the immigration services via the embassy or high consulate in their country, okay? Now, we have a lot to cover, so why don't we waste no more time and jump right into it. Now, a student visa to Australia is some form of approval stamped on your passport that gives you authority or permission to stay in Australia, work and live. Yes, with a student visa, you are authorized to work in Australia. In fact, if university or your high school is in session, you can work 40 hours per 2 weeks in Australia. And when you are on holidays, you can actually work forever, or you have infinite hours to work while in Australia. And an Australian visa comes with 5 years. Each Australian student visa that is stamped per person usually comes with 5 years. And usually a student visa in Australia puts you on the right path to get your graduate post-work study visa processing going. So if you get a student visa to Australia, which gives you 5 years, which means before or upon expiration of that 5 years, you can apply for a graduate post-work study visa to stay back in Australia to work after you finish studying. Now guys, I want you guys to stay with me to the very end. Watch this video to the very end, because at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you how you can take advantage of the pandemic, yes, I'm talking about COVID, to actually extend your stay in Australia. And I'm also going to be telling you the amount of time, the duration of time it takes for your student visa to be processed by the immigration services in Australia via the embassy or high commission presence in your country. If you are looking to apply for a student visa to Australia, there's certain things you need to do first, okay? There's certain things that you need to do, certain boxes you need to tick first. For example, you need to have selected one university or one educational provider. The reason why I used the cover word educational provider, I realized that not everybody who is looking to get a student visa to Australia is going there to study in a university. There's still people, children, who are looking to start high school in Australia. So you need to select a school. When you select that school, you need to find out whether this school requires you to take an English proficiency test. Now, English proficiency tests are usually for countries whose native language is not English. So you might need to take maybe an IELTS test, you might need to take maybe a TOEFL test, just to prove to the institution or school that you are proficient or fluent in the English language, because all institutions in Australia teach in English. It's different from Canada, where you have institutions, certain parts where they speak French and certain parts where they speak English. So you need to find out from the school that you're selecting whether you need to take an English proficiency test. When you found the school that you're going to attend, you would have to download the application form from the website. You need to fill out the application form, or if you find out that maybe the process is too daunting for you, you might seek the services of an Australian educational agent, okay? There's a provision provided to you by the Australian Immigration Services where they help you attach an educational agent to your application form. But even if you decide to go with an Australian educational agent, you would have to submit to them a certificate of previous education of study that you might have completed. So say, for example, you finish high school in a different country and you're looking to start your bachelor's in a university in Australia, you will have to submit certificate that validates or verifies that you did finish high school. Or maybe you're going for your master's degree, you will have to tender a certificate that shows, oh, I did a bachelor's degree in a university in South Africa before I'm looking to come to Australia, or in Rwanda, or in the Philippines, or in Germany, or in Nigeria. You need to submit certificates that verifies that you have finished the step before. And if you do not want to tender any certificate, you would need to tender some level of certification of maybe a professional course you might have taken. In most schools abroad actually could offer you a place in their university if you can prove that you've been working in a particular field for a very extended period of time, maybe between 5 to 10 years. If you have a professional certification, maybe as an accountant, maybe as something, a professional person, you could still get accepted into the school, but you need to send this document, this certification that proves that you got verified in a particular field of endeavor. You would also need to submit a certificate that proves that you're proficient in English. Like I said earlier, it depends on the university or institution you'll be attending, and it depends on whether this is a key requirement in the selection or approval process for you to be granted or given an offer to start processing your visa. You might need to submit a certificate that proves you're proficient in English, okay? Now, whatever documents you're submitting, whether it's your previous university certification, maybe degree certificate that proves you studied biological sciences in a university in a foreign country, or your proficiency certificate, or your work experience certificate, whatever it is, it has to be in English. If it's in a different country, maybe you're coming from China, or you're coming from South Korea or Japan, or even Germany or Portugal or any of these countries, you would need to get this document translated into English, because the native language for Australia is English. Now we've covered the basics on the first step you need to do, which is fill the application form for the university or institution of your choosing and submit the right documents to them. The next thing we're going to talk about is the fees. The student visa application fee. Now, if you are applying for a student visa, you need to pay an application fee or its equivalent, which is 630 Australian dollars, or its equivalent in your home country. Either you pay this fee, or maybe you have a visa fee waiver, okay, or you're exempt from paying this fee. If you're exempt from paying this fee, of course you can go ahead and submit your student visa application form together with all the documents that needs to come with it. I'm going to be telling you about the documents that you're going to submit for this visa category in a second, okay? Also, if you watch this video to the end, I'm going to tell you how you can qualify to get back or to get a refund for the amount of money you've paid for your visa application fee. You happy? Would you want to know how to get your money back? Then stick around in this video to the very end. I'll tell you how you can go about getting this money back. I'm going to be telling you about the documents that you need to submit with your visa application form. So whether you are filling this visa or you're applying for this visa via the Department of Home Affairs or Immigration Services of Australia's website, or whether you downloaded the form and you're filling it with your pen and with your hand, I'm going to tell you the documents you're going to have to submit with this application. Now, number one, you would have to submit an offer letter. Okay? Before you go about submitting your offer letter, you would have to read it first. Now, I know that a lot of people around the world find it very difficult to read documents. When you see that this document is going beyond 3,000 words, you start to say, oh my God, it's too much for me. I do not want to read this document. But you would have to read it, sir. Or madam, you would have to read this document. Why do you have to read it? Because you need to know your rights. You need to know what this document covers while you are studying in Australia. And in case you decide to drop out of university, because when I was in the university, particularly the time when I was studying for my master's, I had a lot of friends who dropped out of uni. So you need to know, if you drop out of uni, can you get a refund for the tuition fee you've paid? And while you are in Australia, what are the rights? What should you do or shouldn't do while in the university premises? Talking about living and staying on campus. What does your fees cover? You need to understand and get this information by studying the offer letter. You also need to make a copy of your offer letter, because the original one is going to go with your application form. So you need to have a copy or a duplicate copy. So just in case things go south while you're in Australia, you can go through your offer letter again to know what to do and where to go to make reports or to get refunds. You are going to have to submit a confirmation of enrollment, or what is known as a COE document. A confirmation of enrollment tells the immigration services that you have not only been accepted by this university, but this university has accepted to study XYZ course. Maybe medicine, maybe architecture, maybe civil engineering, maybe home management, maybe event management, whatever course you're looking to go study in Australia. It tells them that the university has accepted you and you were enrolled in this course. Usually, a confirmation of enrollment is sent to you either by email as a hard copy via post by your university. And this is sent when your offer letter has been accepted and you've paid a certain amount in deposit, which tells the university that you are interested in coming here. And when you're going abroad, it's not just Australia, even in the US, even in the UK, you have to pay a deposit. If it's not the whole of your tuition fee, it is a tuition fee deposit. And even some universities might even want you to pay an accommodation deposit before they send you a confirmation of enrollment. Number three, the third document that you would have to submit is a certification of English proficiency. Now, this is usually a criteria put in place for countries whose native language is not English. Maybe you're from Congo, or you're from Angola, or you're from France, or you're from Germany, Portugal, Japan, South Korea, China. These are countries that do not speak English as a native language. If you are from any of these countries, you will have to submit a certificate of English proficiency. Maybe having taken a TOEFL test, an IELTS test, but you need to understand that not all proficiency tests are accepted by the Immigration Services of Australia. Not all. You would have to move on to the website of the Department of Home Affairs to find out the tests that are accepted for people coming from your country. okay? So don't go about saying, you know, I'm gonna take this test, I'm gonna take that test, it's good. No, you have to find out the one that is authorized and accepted by people or by the immigration services for people coming from your country. And sometimes they take a proof or certificate of English proficiency from all countries as long as you're coming to Australia from outside. Okay, so don't go thinking, oh, I'm from South Africa, I'm from Nigeria, I'm from Ghana, we speak English, I'm from the UK, we speak English. They don't know you. So submitting these forms or these documents with your application form is the process of introduction. You're telling them about yourself, so you just might also need to submit a proof of English proficiency. Number 4, you have to meet a requirement known as a genuine temporary entrance requirement. Now, a genuine temporary entrance requirement is a statement, almost like an essay, but it's a statement that shows the immigration services of Australia that you are going to leave after whatever you came to Australia to do expires, okay? Your genuine temporary entrance requirement is going to cover 2 things. The first thing it's going to cover is you are coming to Australia to study and not to do anything else. It's going to tell them that, oh, listen, Paul is coming to the university to study aeronautic engineering. Really? So Paul is coming to Australia to study XYZ course and to do nothing else. The other thing it's going to cover is you are going to be staying in Australia on a temporary basis. You're not going to be staying there for a long time, which means after this reason expires or after your visa expires, you're going to leave the country. In this statement is key, is pertinent, it's important that you include your ties to your home country, your family members, your friends. Listen, I'm going back to my country when I finish studying in Australia because there's a job waiting for me in the Ministry of Defense. There's a job waiting for me in the Ministry of Education. There's a job waiting for me in the Department of Home Services, whatever. Just put this there and put the salary that you're going to be earning in this job. It has to be very attractive because it's going to tell the immigration services of Australia that, oh, this person has this great opportunity waiting for him back home. There's no how he's going to stay back in Australia. So the genuine temporary entrance requirement is very important for you to get your visa approved. Okay? If you're interested in getting your student visa to go study in Australia, this particular requirement, the genuine temporary entrance requirement, which is number 4 in the list of documents that you need to submit with your application form, is very important. Do not skip this step, okay? It tells them that you are going back to your home country upon expiration or upon your study conclusion in Australia. Now, remember in one of my videos in the past, I told you guys that if you can prove to any foreign country outside your country, whether it be Canada, the US, it be the UK, it be New Zealand, Finland, whatever country, if you can prove to them that you're going to go out of the country or go back to your home country upon expiration of your visa, you're going to get your visa every time you apply for a visa to such countries. Number 5, you need to attach a proof of funds. Proof of funds with your application form, your visa application form, you need to attach it, okay? It's very important that they know that you have enough money to look after yourself, cover your cost of living, and every other thing you need, accommodation, transportation to Australia. It's very important. This proof of funds can come in different ways or different types. You could attach a bank statement. If it's your bank statement, you could attach your bank statement. Or if it's your parents' bank statement or your employer's bank statement, maybe you're being sponsored to go study in Australia by your workplace, you could attach their bank statement with your application form. Or if you got a scholarship or a tuition waiver, okay, you can attach this as well with your document. You just need to attach proof that you're going to be okay financially while studying in Australia. If your parent or your partner is sponsoring your studies, say for example your dad wants you to go further your education in Australia, your mom or your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your fiance or fiancé is sponsoring you, what is wrong with me? Why am I stuttering? Is sponsoring you to go study in Australia, you need to make sure that the ending balance for the account for the previous year was at least 62,222 Australian dollars. I'm talking about by the end of the previous year, not this year, okay? So when you send your statement of account, by the end of the previous financial year, the balance was at least 62,222 Australian dollars or above. Okay, it just shows that there's been intense activity. This account has been having activity going on. There's been transaction taking place in this account. Money's going in, money's coming out, money's going in, but the end balance never went beyond this limit. Did you get it? It just proves to them that this person is okay financially and they can actually take care of you when you travel to Australia to go study. If you are being sponsored by any other person in your family or maybe someone in your church or even your workplace, but these people sponsoring you are different from your parents or maybe a partner, they need to have a bank account statement that shows they have at least 72,592 Australian dollars. As you can see, the requirement for other family members in terms of finances is different from the requirement of your very intimate and close family members like your parents or your partners. Okay, so the price for those ones is different from the price of these ones. And these figures are valid. These figures were posted in the immigration services as of March 6, 2021. Okay, so they are or should be valid for today, but if you want to make sure you're not making any mistake, you can always go website of the Australian Immigration Services, which I'm going to leave down below for you to make sure that you're covering all the angles and all the bases. Number 6, you need to have an Australian overseas health cover. This is very important, okay? What you're doing with this documents or getting this sorted out is telling the Immigration Services of Australia that if you fall ill in Australia, you are going to be taken care of because you've already planned this beforehand. Australia is a stickler for making sure that everybody within their borders are healthy. And it also helps them in their budgetary preparation, knowing that this are the amount of people, this is the amount of money we have to allocate to the healthcare sector for these people that need healthcare cover. Okay? So you need to have an Australian overseas healthcare cover. You need to get this. This is mandatory. This is important. If you don't have this, you could be rejected your visa. Okay? Because they just want to know that you coming from whatever country you're coming from, you're going to be taken care of. Whenever you need to see a doctor or go for a medical procedure, you have cover. And your overseas or Australian overseas healthcare cover is going to cover your duration of stay in Australia. So like I said before, a student visa guarantees you 5 years of stay in Australia. Is going to cover the whole entirety of the 5 years you're going to be staying in Australia. So don't go take out a healthcare cover and say, oh, just give it to me for 1 year or 2 years because you want to game the system. If it doesn't cover your duration of stay, now maybe you might say, but Fuse, they've not granted me the visa. I don't know how much they're going to stamp on my visa. I'm telling you now that you're going to get 5 years, okay? So ignorance does not exempt you from consequence. So make sure you get a cover that's going to last you 5 years when you're taking out a healthcare cover for your overseas travel to Australia. While you are taking out your Australian overseas health cover, try to make sure that you also order the healthcare cover card, okay? This is going to help you on several levels. Now, you might say, oh, but Fuse, Australia is computerized. When I go to just key in my name and it's going to pop up that I have health cover. Yes, that is good, but what if it's an emergency? What if you have a seizure, a heart attack or something? What if you go to a club and you get stampeded on and you need urgent medical attention. Okay, you need to get that covered. That covered, upon seeing that covered, everybody knows it, that this man has an overseas healthcare cover. Okay, now you can get a Australian overseas healthcare cover card by logging on to privatehealth.gov.au. I'm gonna leave this link down in the description section below so you can click away and order your card after you have booked or paid for your Australian overseas healthcare cover. Now guys, number 7, you will need to submit a medical certificate that shows that you are healthy. Remember, this goes in line with the Australian overseas health cover. Australia, or the immigration services in Australia, just wants to know that you are in the peak of health, that you're very healthy. So you need to run a series of tests in your private hospital in your country, or your general hospital in your country, wherever one you go to, that covers that you don't have measles, you don't have tuberculosis, you don't have syphilis, gonorrhea, you don't have hepatitis. Just run a general comprehensive test. Let them give you a medical certificate that covers all the tests you ran, that shows that you are very healthy. These things are all mandatory, okay? Just like the overseas healthcare cover, this is mandatory. If you don't have the certificate, they don't know whether you're healthy, so they don't know the kind of person you're given access or given permission to come into the country. So if you don't have it, you could be denied visa, your student visa into Australia. Number 8, character requirements. Now, while filling your application form for a student visa, you're going to answer certain questions called character questions that paint a picture of your past and you presently, that shows you of good character, good behavior, you don't have any criminal tendencies. Yes? Now, you will say, but I could just put anything. Maybe I have criminal tendencies. I could just fill just a questionnaire, yeah? I could just fill any answer just to game the system. No, you would also need to go to your local police in your city to get a police extract or a police certificate that shows that you don't have a record, you don't have any criminal inclinations or tendencies, and you are of good standing with the government or with that particular body in your country. Okay, this is very important while submitting documents, supporting documents with your visa, student visa application form. Number 9, COVID-19 PCR test. And it's not the way you guys are thinking about it. Australia doesn't require you to take a PCR test before you travel to Australia anymore. They don't also require you to take a PCR test upon landing in Australia. This used to be a huge sticking point back then. You guys remember the Novak Djokovic case where he traveled to Australia for the Melbourne Open and was denied access to even take part in the competition because he had not taken his COVID vaccine. Okay, well, Australia has changed since then. They don't require you to take a PCR test before you travel. They do not require you to take a PCR test when you arrive. Your healthcare certification from whatever hospital you did in your country is going to cover all that, and you're always going to have a way to look after yourself now in Australia because we all know about all the vaccines for COVID. However, this does not cover the airline companies that's going to take you from your country to Australia. This does not cover all the layover places that you're going to stop en route to Australia. Now, these people are going to have their requirements in terms of COVID testing and your COVID status, okay? So you would need to find out what the airlines requirements are in terms of COVID-19 vaccination and testing, and you need to find out connecting flights across different countries before you get to Australia. What are the requirements? You would need to find this out before you embark on your travel. The worst thing that can happen to you is travel without getting this information, and then you get to maybe a country, let's say Israel, between your country and Australia, or let's say Amsterdam in Holland or the Netherlands, and you never found out what the COVID requirements are, and you get turned back to your country from those countries, and you can't even travel onwards to Australia. So you need to find out what the airlines policy are in terms of COVID, what their guidelines are, and as well as the countries you're going to lay over in. Most countries are exiting the pandemic phase. Most countries now are putting out figures that shows the COVID-19 spread is now on a decline, and Australia is not left out. But during the pandemic period, I'm talking about COVID, most institutions in Australia were offering bridge courses, online bridge courses, whereby you stayed in your house and studied online towards a degree. Okay? Australia offers you an opportunity for you to submit documentation that shows that you took a bridge course or an online course, which is going to add to your credits, in which you can submit with your student visa application form to be granted visa and for you to gain entrance into Australia. Now, this is a possibility for those who took bridge courses or bridging courses in Australia. Maybe it was a bridge course because you've not reached the bare minimum requirement for you to apply to Australia for a student visa for you to go study a bachelor's degree. You took a bridge course online to get to that level, maybe to get your A-level sorted out. Australia gives you the opportunity to submit all documentation that shows that you're taking a bridge course, and you can submit this along with your visa, your student visa application form, and you're going to be granted visa. In addition to the bridge courses and those who are taking bridge courses online, existing students and new students who were impacted by COVID and who were unable to travel to Australia to resume their courses and had to take these courses online because most countries stopped immigration across their borders and made people take online courses. This is going to add to your credits if you are looking to apply for a graduate post-study visa, okay? This is going to add to your credit, and you can actually add this to the list of documents that you're going to be submitting with your student visa application form, and it's going to add to the criteria or the requirements needed to grant you your graduate study work visa. Talking about graduate post-study visa, also known as a temporary visa status under the subclass 485. From January 18, 2022, students who lost time because of COVID. So there are people who maybe were studying in Australia and had to travel, but then the pandemic hit and they were restricted or not allowed to get back into Australia. If you fall under this category of people with a temporary graduate visa under the subclass 485, known as a graduate post-study work visa, if you lost any time at all and you're a holder of this visa, from January 2022, you're going to be granted extension to stay in Australia as long as you had this graduate post-work study visa on or before January 18, 2022, you're going to be granted an extension to stay in Australia till the 30th of September, okay? You can do a lot in between January to September. You can apply for a change of visa status from a graduate post-work study visa to a work visa. You can do a lot in this period of time, but these are people that suffered as a result of COVID and maybe were unable to access entry into Australia, or there was some level of restriction in their visa that was not supposed to be there but was put in place because of the pandemic. How long does it take your visa to be processed? If you're applying for a student visa, how long do you have to wait for? They're in two types. There's no one size fits all. 95% of people who are applying for a student visa to go study in Australia usually wait for 29 days, which is just a day short of the month. 70% of people wait for 49 days. So you could wait from 29 to 49 days to get your student visa to go study in Australia. And yes, your student visa application could be denied. And if it's ever denied, you're going to get an email that tells you on what grounds it was denied for you to review it and reapply. Australia is good for this. They always tell you why you were denied visa, and you review it and then you reapply. And if you get accepted, you're going to get your visa number via email. You're going to get the terms in which you're being granted the visa, the number of hours you're going to be eligible to work for every week, every month. They're going to highlight the guidelines that you need to adhere to by virtue of this visa category in Australia. Recently, Australia has relaxed the hours permitted for people to work. I'm talking about students to work while school is in session. Before, you could work for just 40 hours per 2 weeks, but now you can work for more hours even though school is in session. If you arrived Australia on or before the 19th of March all the way to the 31st of December 2022, you can apply for a refund of your visa, your student visa application fee. Okay, so you can get this money back if you arrived Australia on or before the 19th of March all the way to the 31st of December 2022. You can apply for a refund. This is also putting you in a category of people who are exempt from paying a visa application fee. Okay guys, I really apologize. I know this video has been very long. Let me know, okay? I had to go in depth to tell you guys everything you need to know about applying for a student visa to Australia. If you follow all the steps highlighted in this video, I promise you, it's guaranteed that you are going to get your student visa. Now guys, that I'm giving you a guarantee does not mean that when you go for your student visa interview, you're going to falsify response, or you're going to falsify documents, or you're just going to mess around and not sit for your interview the right way. If you want to know about what not to do, 10 things not to do when you are going for a visa interview, a video is going to pop up just up above there. You know things that you shouldn't do and how to prepare for your visa interview. Yes, that video is for people who are going for your US visa interview, but the same concept applies for people going for their student visa to Australia interview. Okay? Now guys, let me know down below, okay? Let me know down below if you're interested in going to Australia to study, if you're going to be interested in applying for a student visa to Australia. Let me know what country you're traveling for or you look to travel from to get to Australia, so that I could make more custom videos for you guys going forward, okay? And if this video was valuable to you, somehow this video was very helpful to you, you like the content in this video, why don't you think about going down and smashing the subscribe button? And why don't you click the bell icon, which is the notification bell, which keeps you notified when we drop future videos. And if this video was helpful to you or you found it interesting, why don't you give us a thumbs up? It helps us a lot. It helps us with the YouTube algorithm. It tells Mr. YouTube that Paul, Sean, and Philippa from whatever country they are in found this video interesting. You're going to find more people such as Paul, Sean, and Philippa all around the world to show these videos to. And maybe you're thinking, Fuse, oh God, Fuse. I have questions for you, sir. I'm not comfortable with leaving comments down below in the comment section. It's okay, no problem, no big deal. Fuse got you covered. Why don't you follow us on our TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter handles, okay? We're very active on all 3 social media platforms. And our social media handle on all 3 platforms are the same. It's up there at Fuse Chronicles. And if you're interested in knowing about all the other visa categories to travel to Australia with, a video is going to pop up somewhere there or somewhere there, I'm not quite sure, that's going to tell you all you need to know about visa classes to Australia. And don't forget, I always say this, happiness is your property. You owe it to yourself to be happy. It's not the place of your family members or your friends to make you happy. It's your place to be happy or to make yourself happy. So say yes and be happy today. And until the next one, I remain your boy Fuse. Have an awesome week ahead. Bye bye.